نحن أقسمنا يمينا أن نضحي أو نرى الإسلام شرعا ونظاما.
If only I knew. Anfal sat in the doctor's office, waiting for the test results. She was impatient because she was invited to a party. She wasn't thinking about the nature of the result as much as she was afraid of losing time and missing her haircut appointment. She considered the test she was waiting for to be nothing more than a precautionary measure resulting from her family's wishes and concern for her. Otherwise, she didn't feel any alarming symptoms, nor did she sense anything suspicious about the illness, except for some minor joint pain. Finally, she was called to the doctor's room. She entered, eager to finish and leave quickly, and was surprised when she entered by the cloud of gloom that hung over the doctor's face, which prompted her to say when he asked her, "Are you the one who had the test done?" "No, it's my daughter." She wanted to know the truth, and perhaps he would have been more reserved with her had he known she was the one who had the analysis. She stood before him, waiting. He gestured to a chair over there and asked her to sit, so she sat. Apprehension began to creep into her heart, and she looked at him eagerly, not this time to leave, but to understand the truth. He said, "Why didn't you send a man instead of you to collect the results, miss?" She said, "Because I was just passing by, and that's why we didn't see any reason to send anyone else. Besides, I couldn't hear the truth, whatever it might be." The doctor fell silent, looking at her with a seriousness tinged with regret, then said, "This confirms that you are an educated girl who understands the nature of life." He said this and then fell silent. A tremor of fear ran through her body, and she wondered. "How? What do you mean, doctor?" He said, "The test results indicate a blood disorder." He said this, then fell silent and lowered his head in sorrow. Anfal saw no need to press him further or clarify, so she repeated in alarm, "Cancer." The doctor did not raise his head and remained silent, pained for this afflicted sister. This silence was like a death sentence for her, so she murmured, almost in a rattling voice, "Or I am finished then." And here the doctor knew that she had been lying to him. Yes, he knew, but too late. He raised his face to her and looked at her with tenderness and said, "I am sorry. Why did you lie to me, my dear? But in any case, life and death are in God's hands, and how many sick people have lived and healthy people have died." Anfal felt that her soul was sinking to the depths and that an iron hand had reached out to grip her heart, squeezing it cruelly, but she gathered her remaining strength and said, "Please excuse me, doctor, and thank you." The doctor replied encouragingly, "Be strong and optimistic. Medicine is still advancing, and perhaps the disease that has no cure today will have one tomorrow. That's why hope still exists, and I will search for the latest medical ideas so that I might find the required medicine. Therefore, I hope you will leave me your phone number, my daughter." In a routine manner, she gave him her phone number. She wasn't aware of what she was saying or what he was saying, as she was experiencing the effects of the shock violently and bitterly. Then she repeated her thanks and left. At home, she kept the truth to herself, as she didn't know she had the strength to speak about it. Besides, she found them preoccupied with getting ready to go to the party, and her mother asked her, saying, "Didn't you see the doctor, Anfal? And why didn't you go to the hairdresser?" The question was casual, not expecting an answer, so she replied curtly, "Because I'm not going to the party." She said this and went up to her room, locked the door from the inside, and lay down on the bed fully dressed. The voices of her family reached her as if from a great distance, and the sound of the wind pounded in her ears, a mournful funeral dirge, like a wail lamenting her youth and her artistic life. Even her beloved room now felt strange to her, since she would soon be leaving it. And the house. She had become a guest in this house, and she would be forced to leave it so that others could take her place, remember her for a while, and then forget her. She tried to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. She wanted to think, not cry. She looked around in anguish. She saw the curtains she had spent so much effort acquiring, the ones she had sought out for the most beautiful and modern designs. These curtains would remain while she was gone forever. What did it matter to her now if they were made of cotton or linen? She was leaving them behind, leaving them for someone else. If only she hadn't exerted so much effort for them, if only she had saved that time and money for something that would benefit her in this predicament. She began to search her memory for something that might help. What? She had everything: youth, beauty, culture, money, furniture, and finery. But would any of it help her or ward off the threat of death? She had longed to be an employee with a respectable monthly salary, and now she was employed and receiving a salary, but would her salary save her from death? Then an idea struck her, and she rushed to the telephone. The house was empty except for her, everyone had gone to the celebration. She called her doctor and asked eagerly, "If I go abroad, will I find a cure there?" He said, "There's nothing new. It's just trouble and a waste of money." So she hung up and sat on the chair next to the telephone, exhausted. Even her salary didn't change anything. Then she got up and wandered around the house as if she wanted to bid farewell to these beloved landmarks. She glanced at the garden and said, "If only it were working. If only these trees knew I was leaving. If only these stones understood I was leaving, if only these walls knew I was leaving and that I would no longer seem to move between their sides. If only these doors understood that I was leaving and that my hand, which was the first to open them, would no longer open them. If only this garden could grasp the meaning of my departure, and these flowers that my hands planted in the soil, disregarding all the cost in terms of bloody thorn pricks or the hardness of petrified rocks, these flowers that I always watered with the sweat of my brow when the water ran out and quenched with the tears of my eyes whenever signs of withering appeared on them. But now, if only they knew I was leaving, these fruit-bearing trees that I received small and weak, and I provided them with all the elements of life and nourishment I could until they swayed and grew and sprouted good growth. Do these trees understand that I am leaving, or will they remember my embracing them in the old days when I had days with them? Oh, if only she knew and understood. And these seats that once embraced my head and supported my arm, do they sense that I will soon be leaving them? Or will they replace me with someone else and pave the way for someone else to sit? And this desk of mine, on which I wrote with tears once and with smiles many times, does it know that I am leaving? And does it miss the sound of my pen on it and the place of my papers inside its drawers? Oh, if only everything around me knew that I am leaving. And if only I had known that I was leaving, then I would not have lived with such greed for this world. And when I felt pride and vanity, yes, if only I had known that I was a guest in this world, then it would not have deceived me with its illusions, nor would it have captivated me with its embellishments. If only I had known. Then I realized that leaving a simple life is easier than leaving a life of luxury and extravagance. If I hadn't been living this luxury, the transition from this life to that one would have been easier for me. My family is celebrating now, these celebrations that I often looked forward to on special occasions, preparing dresses for them, and searching for the latest hairstyles. Did they bring me any joy or pleasure? And here Anfal collapsed onto a chair beside her, as if she had grasped a truth she had been unaware of, and said, "What did I take with me? Did I take anything with me besides my shroud and deeds? But what deeds will accompany me on this long journey? Nothing. Yes, nothing." And her thoughts drifted far back to the advice of her friend Sarah when she used to encourage her to obey God, saying, "And seek provision, but indeed, the best provision is righteousness." Al-Baqarah 197. At that time, she did not feel the importance of provisions, but now she needed provisions, she needed good deeds to present before God. What would she say on the day of reckoning? How would she ask for mercy from her Lord when she had disobeyed him in the simplest things? How would she hope for forgiveness from her Creator when she had not responded to his commands throughout her life? If only she had read the Quran instead of the worthless novels. If only she had learned about her religion through magazines. And Ankal continued saying, I wish I had not angered so-and-so, nor transgressed against so-and-so. I wish I had not lied to anyone, nor backbitten anyone. I wish I had not been arrogant towards a poor person, nor looked down upon a needy person. I wish I could live again to correct my mistakes and do what pleases my Lord. I have worshipped my whims and desires and neglected the worship of my Lord. I wish I could live for a while so that I might learn from my sins. Then a verse came to her mind that she had heard her grandfather recite one day, until, when death comes to one of them, he says, "My Lord, send me back to Allah that I might do righteousness in that which he left behind." No, it is only a word which he will hear and will bring comfort until the day they are resurrected. Al-Mu'minin, 99-100. It was as if she was conversing with her Lord with that, "No. It is not a passing word. I mean what I say, O Lord." And here, as she prayed to the Lord of mercy, tears streamed from her eyes, burning and copious. She rested her head on her hand and began to weep. Yes, she wept, but it was a weeping of remorse, not pain. She resolved that if she lived long enough, she would never disobey God for even a moment. The telephone rang, and she rose heavily to answer it, picking up the receiver to say, "Yes." Her voice was trembling, altered by the tears. A voice came through, saying, "Is Miss Anfal there?" Anfal recognized the voice, it was the doctor's. She said, "Yes, it's me, doctor." He burst out with genuine joy, "Congratulations on your recovery, my dear girl. It's a blessing. You are well and safe, praise be to God." The words humbled her, and she no longer knew how to respond. She repeated, as if in a dream, saying,
أو نرى الإسلام شرعا ونظاما